Good evening and welcome to Monday, August 29th, 2022's West Clermont Board of Education meeting. Mr. Romano, roll call.
Mrs. Delaney?
Present.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Present.
Mr. Chumley?
Present.
Mr. Patton?
Present.
And Mr. Rudy is attending via internet. He is ill
Yes, he's
today.
here listening in, won't be an active participant, but is here listening in.
Correct. So
And he
four
won't be
present.
voting today.
Four present.
Perfect. We do have a need to withdraw to executive session for the purpose of considering the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of a public employee. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion. Second.
For the roll, Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
4 yes.
We will withdraw to executive session and return at 7 p.m. Thank you.
justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask him now. I just moved the mic.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
What about in the house?
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
Is it better?
one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so this goes up. Mrs. Delaney.
Present.
Mrs. Brinkman.
Present.
Mr. Chumley.
Present.
Mr. Patton.
Present.
4 present.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by students from our West Clermont School District via video.
I know we usually look at the flag, but you can look at the screen and the flag at the same time. It's coming. Maybe. Maybe we're doing it ourselves.
What do you want me to do? Go ahead and pause it and start it again. Up here on the screen? Yeah. Go down to the pause button. Yeah. Actually did test it.
We heard it
Oh, it's
earlier. We
going.
believe you.
See it going.
There it goes.
I know this never happens to anybody. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. We had to gather them up there for a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay, item 4.01 is adopting the agenda. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
And a second? Second.
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney.
Yes.
4 yes.
Item 5.01, recognition of our maintenance department and head custodians. Mr. LaFave?
While they're not all here tonight, there was some babysitting and illness, and a couple guys told me golf, although I'm not believing it. But they are in a golf league on Monday. So please stand, the maintenance and custodial crew is here. I've worked with a lot of, well, I've been in schools a long time. Since the Abraham Lincoln administration, I've been in schools. So these people are remarkable in what they do for our district. This year we started school earlier, and they overcame a lot of obstacles and problems in the Hampton building, which was fantastic. In addition, we brought, as you know, Merwins to, modulars to Merwin. So Chester and Roger spent all summer on that project, and many weekends, getting the site ready and the modulars ready. So a special thanks to Chester and Roger for what they did and continue to do to make sure the kids are in the modulars. As you know, the other two, Denison and Scully, they changed buildings in the middle of the summer, but they continued to work in their old building and transition while they were working in a new building. So they're essentially doing 2 jobs for the bulk of the summer, really half the summer. So I congratulate them, and it's a pleasure to work with them. And then Jason, in the office, he's been out on roofs and fire alarm panels and so on. So it's just a great group of people to work with. Makes my job awesome to come in here. So congratulations.
Yeah, we just want to say thank you. Your attitudes of like never let you quit. Chester, I especially want to call you out after the challenge of being in Merwin all last year, working a room that turned into a cafeteria, a gym, the doors to the bathroom, and every other event that happened in the school every day. Like, you just never stopped the grind. And then having to turn your whole building upside down to get ready for the modulars, you had a very heavy lift. And I just think your approach was great. And even when we asked you, do you need some more help, you're like, nope, I got it. And so that's just tremendous commitment and dedication. And I know the 2 new guys going off to the middle school and then off to Holly Hill. I know you are welcomed men in this new space, and they're grateful to have you. New energy, new ideas, and a lot of hustle. And so, thank you. And Roger, of course, kind of leading the whole show, coordinating all the details. And Jason covering all the details on the field, in the office. It's a lot. And Chuck, it's been a very, very, very hard summer. So many details. And your department is really like under a microscope right now in terms of all this, what's going on day to day and what's coming in the future. And everybody sharing ideas, collaborating together, and helping to just do the right thing for the kids is commendable. Since you are the reason why we were able to have a great start to the year, we're going to now move to a video that's a welcome back to school video to once again thank you for making it possible. We appreciate you. Play button in the middle?
Yeah, that's right.
No, in the middle, down the bottom in the middle.
Oh, sorry.
Triangle.
There we go.
We're here at the first day of school for the 22-23 school year, and these kids are here being the best version of themselves. It's really obvious by the way they're dressed, by the way they're carrying themselves. I'm going to turn over the mic to them so they can begin to share what their roles are as Link Crew leaders and why they're dressed in this crazy way today. We just see it for you.
We just like to, we want to help the freshmen, and I'm an Oompa Loompa today, obviously. Really well. I'm Iron Man, and we just want to make them feel more comfortable, and it's just supposed to be a fun day. Like, we don't want them to worry too much.
I'm Willy Wonka, and you just want the younger kids to feel at home and to feel welcome in school, because it can be a really hard time trying to merge back into a new school.
I'm Captain America. I forgot my shield at home, but it's a big school, so it's a little overwhelming coming in. So we just try to make them feel more comfortable.
So many things go in behind the scenes to make the first day of school without a hitch go well, from transportation, our office staff, all the administrators. It's been incredible. So we will continue to celebrate as we roll into the year, but thanks especially to you guys for helping us get off to a great start.
Item 6.01, speakers at the board. Do we have any cards tonight, Mr.
We do not.
We will move along.
Yeah, Dr. Fultz is going to come to bring those two memorandums of understanding.
Before you is the resolution for the board to pay the application fee for the ESEA endorsement for individual interested in becoming professional aides in the district. The ESEA endorsement is required if you are a prepared professional aide working with students in a Title I building. We have found that the fee has become a deterrent to some of the individuals who want to work in West Clermont, but the cost is more than they can bear. This resolution allows us to pay the fee in return for them working at least one school year with us. So I respectfully request that you approve the resolution as submitted.
Do you want to do both of them at the same time, or do you have to vote on them separately?
Do you
We have to vote
Okay.
on them separately.
The second resolution is the resolution to add middle school competitive cheer to the supplemental contract.
We'll do them separately together.
Can we do them together?
I'd do them separately.
Okay, we're going to vote separately, so can we just pause for a second?
Okay. You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Romano?
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
4 yes.
Thank you. The next resolution is to add middle school competitive cheer to the supplemental contract. Before you is the resolution to add the position of middle school competitive cheer to the supplemental list of coaches. Our middle school cheer program has grown over the years, and adding the supplemental will continue that trajectory. We already have a competitive cheer at the high school, so this will also allow us to grow that pipeline of talent as we do with other sports. So I respectfully request that you approve the resolution as submitted.
You've heard the recommendation of the superintendent. I'll put that on the floor in the form of a motion and ask for a second.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Mr. Romano?
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
4 yes.
Okay. Item 8.01, personnel.
All right, in front of you is the personnel agenda for August 29th, 2022. On the agenda today, we have the resignation of a paraprofessional aide and secretary assistant. We also have the hiring of a substitute administrator. His name is Craig Filipowski. We have 2 elementary administrators that are going out on maternity leave, one in the fall and one in the spring. So Mr. Filipowski will be assisting us during that time. He's a former administrator in the Cincinnati area, and he currently is a field supervisor for student teachers from Xavier University. So we're excited about having him on to help support during those times. We also have the proposed hiring of 1 art teacher, 1 custodian, 1 health clinic assistant, 4 full-time paraprofessional aides, 2 part-time paraprofessional aides, 1 head custodian, and 1 cafeteria manager. On this agenda, we also have the proposed offer of extended days for 2 special education coaches. We have the proposed transfer and reassignment of a cafeteria and paraprofessional aide moving from a part-time to fill a current full-time vacancy. As always, we're happy when our teachers work to grow themselves professionally. So on this agenda, we have the proposed approval for adjustment of salary for 5 teachers due to their continued professional growth through college coursework. We also have the proposed approval of supplemental contracts for LPDC committee, master teacher team, multiple advisors, multiple clubs, teacher leaders, athletic contest workers, home tutors, and multiple coaches. Included in this agenda is the proposed approval for requested unpaid leave of absences, the hiring of classified substitutes, and multiple school volunteers and student teachers. And finally, in the work beyond the contract section, I included in this agenda the proposed approval for payments for those individuals who participate in the cooperating teacher programs, wellness champions, about face committee, CPI training, high schools at work, and college credit plus instructors. This concludes the review of the personnel agenda submitted for your consideration.
Item 8.02 is approval of the minutes for the June 27th board meeting. Item 8.03 is approval of the minutes for the July 7th board meeting. And item 8.04 is recommendation for approval of the minutes for the August 15th meeting. Item 8.05 are the donations since the last meeting. There are 4 of them. KISS 107 WKFS awarded $3,000 to West Clermont High School Advanced Health Club for raising donations for the blood drive. Merwin Elementary School received $100 to pay for lunch or breakfast fees for students in need. That was from an anonymous donor. Mount Washington Baptist Church donated 60 backpacks filled with school supplies to Amelia Elementary for students in need. And Willowville Elementary received 4 bags of school supplies for students in need from an anonymous donor. That was item 8.05, donations, recommended for your approval. Item 8.06 is approval of purpose and budget statements for 2022 and, for FY fiscal year 2023 for the school year. They are the items that are listed for you. As you recall, we had some purpose and budget statements approved in May and June. Some of those, not all of those were received. We also allow the activities to revise their purpose and budget statements as need be during the school year. Again, what those purpose and budget statements do is help define the public purpose for raising funds and spending those monies, and also for the student fees that are in our uniform school supply fund. Item 8.07 is the 2023 insurance rates. Our insurance rate renewals are for the calendar year, so the rates that are being approved are effective for January 1. We did have an 8% increase in our medical our PPO program, and our HDHP program. Just want to make one note because the original document that was in the board agenda, it did list the medical PPO at $885 for the single plan. It is actually $855.63. That was revised and was replaced in the board agenda. I just want to make sure that that was noted. So the single plan is up from $792.25 this current year. It'll grow up to $855.63 beginning in January. The family medical plan, the PPO, will go from $2,099.41 to $2,267.36. Our HDHP program for single will go from $619.99 to $661.99. Our medical HDHP will go from $1642.60 up to $1754.30. So those rates are on about an 8% increase. Those are shared by both the employee and the employer. It's on an 84% paid by the employer, 16% premium co-paid by the employees with that. I will note on that listing, we did have a reduction in our MetLife, in our dental program with MetLife. That started in June. That will continue actually for the next 4 years. So we're glad that that is kind of locked in as we go forward for the next 4 years. The vision and the life insurance did not change. So those rates will continue on during calendar year 23. Just as a side note calculation, our total our total insurance on the month is about $1.2 million. So that insurance increase is about $80,000 a month, or close to $960,000 for the year. So it is a significant increase. We did project that in our 5-year forecast, so that is covered, that we had done that. So that was item number 8.07. Make sure that's what it is. Yep. 8.07 is a recommendation to approve the establishing of the insurance premium rates for health, drug, dental, and in our self-insurance program effective January 1 of 2023. Item 8.08 is the financial statements bill paid for June. We didn't have those for the July meeting, so those are for the June 30th, or for the month of June 2022 as listed. And item 8.09 are the financial statements, bill pays, list, and investments for the month of July 2022. That's the first month of our new fiscal year. You will note that there are some changes in the format of some of the reports that we have submitted to the board. That kind of follows suit where we're trying to use our general ledger system as it was designed and trying to produce the reports straight off of that system. So the consent agenda is item 8.01 through item 8.09 as recommended.
Heard the recommendation of the treasurer for the consent agenda. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Mr. Romano?
Mrs. Brinkman,
Yes.
Mr. Chumley,
Yes.
Mr. Patton,
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney.
Yes.
4 yes. Thank you.
Item 9.0, superintendent's report.
Yes, Mr. Gephardt is going to come up and talk about our volunteer and alumni engagement plan for the year.
Good evening. So we're going to talk a little bit about, first of all, you know, we have a new website, and so we're continually updating that. And on the website, you'll see work, volunteer, give, and connect. And so volunteers are part of that. So one of the things that we've added, we just have to let our community know that they're welcome back in the schools again. We went for 2 years of shutting the doors and changing the mindset of volunteers. We can't do it without volunteers at all levels. I know it's difficult at the secondary levels, but at the elementary levels as well. I think the biggest thing about volunteer program is telling our story. And they're our biggest advocates to go out into the community and tell the story of what they see in the buildings firsthand and how they help the kids and help our students every day. And so with the volunteer program on the website, we've updated that. That's not the roadmap, but it's that's the roadmap to the volunteer system.
Let's see you dance.
So with the volunteer system, so one of the things that I found in researching this in other school districts is a simple concept, and it's called Give Me Five. And that's for parents, it's for students, it's for community. So when you think about the Give Me Five, if we could go to the website, if we were to ask our students to do 5 random acts of kindness per week, per month, per quarter, per semester, what kind of culture would that build? If we ask our parents, just imagine if we had parents that would contact teachers 5 times per year. I'm just saying 5 times per year. What a difference that would make for academic achievement. And then community-wise, 5 hours of volunteer service in the buildings or with our students. And so if you scroll down a little bit, Mr. Romano, it's in the website. We're probably going to adjust that and move that up to the top because we really want to promote this Give Me Five. And also to get our parents, community members back in the buildings. So how are we going to promote this? You're changing the mindset that we were telling people to stay away from schools, now we're going to come back. So we're going to need to promote this at athletic events as well as major events that we have that will be coming up. So it's all electronic, QR codes, and then you can sign up and then obviously work with the building principal on the things that we need. So the volunteer system, as we begin to collect data, to get more people in our schools, to tell our story, is going to be important as we move forward. So we're going to continue this. We're going to revamp this. We're going to continue to make adjustments. But it's a heavy lift to get parents in the buildings at the secondary level, but we've challenged the principals to do so as well. Because as we continue to tell the story, as we get down the road in a couple of years, we need as many advocates as possible out in the community talking about what we're doing in the schools. So that's kind of the volunteer system, and we'll continue to look at that, and I'll be continually giving you updates on that. The other part is connect, not only through social media, but we'll also be connecting with our next town hall, which will be September 22nd, and we'll be getting that message out as well. As you can see, these will be in the offices of every school so that we can have parents sign up and we can get more people in the buildings. But as we continually move, big events that are coming up, we want to talk a little bit about the alumni. 5 years ago, I guess it was 6 years ago, when we started this, we were very, very scared to talk about purple and blue because we had some opposition. When I came in, we always kind of separated that, and we talked about being a wolf. Well, I think as time has passed, we've built traditions of being a wolf. You guys have seen the traditions that we have, amazing traditions, not only from the parades we have at the elementary, the Veteran Day programs that you have at the elementary, and then obviously the secondary with the elementary walks, the traditions we have at graduation and things that we do. We've really started to build our own traditions. Well, building tradition in a new school, you don't forget about the past. And I know that we have talked about that, and we have had people question us about what about us, what about us, what about us. And I think it's very, very important as we move forward to bring the alumni back. So I have met with people. We started to have a database that we put together that we're going to be promoting as well. The big event is September 23rd. It's Bring Back the Bell. As you can see on the left side, that will be a flag that will be flying at the game that will be raffled off. So make sure you buy your raffle tickets. We want to thank our boosters, athletic boosters, for their contributions, Brian Smith especially as well, for supporting the events that will take place prior to the game. So prior to the game, if we go to the next slide, we'll see some of the activities that we have in store for Bring Back the Bell. So we go with one more. Or not. So basically, we have the parade starting at 5 o'clock. I can adjust. It's okay. We got, you know, the parade, which was the most successful parade last year. I believe it was. And we'll have the same route.
I still
this
think
year.
the shoebox was the most successful.
The shoebox was very, very successful. But last year, having the time to be able to put that together and have a really good parade. So that'll be starting at 5 o'clock. After the parade, then we will have tents set up, inflatables set up, we'll have food. The first 500 people that are alumni will get a medallion representing the game. And so this to bring people in as well. We're going to raffle off the flag as well and really make it a celebration. And then prior to the game, we'll have a dedication. We'll come out and we'll honor the past, the bell, and bring in the bell back. So when is the bell going to get here? The bell's should be there this week. It's going to be hard to have the bell game without the bell. So it's going to be there by September 23rd, I promise. If I have to carry it myself, that's probably not going to happen. So I think it's going to be a great event for our community and for our alumni. And so I think the best thing about this is we're going to open the doors and we're going to welcome back the blue and the purple, the Amelia graduates, Glen Estee graduates, and I think it'll be a great event for us. And where will we lead this? Obviously, we'll probably have something in the fall or in the winter as well during basketball. We'll have another celebration as well. And if we can get on this and do this as an annual event a couple times a year, we really got to build a database. And so the question you'll ask is how many do we have in the database? Well, when I originally got the database, we had about 100 people that I got from the foundation. As soon as we started putting it out, we doubled that. So if we can keep doubling it, then we'll start to create that database and we'll get more people in. We've hit Facebook pretty hard. With some of the people that I know have connections from both schools, and so we'll continually push that out. So we'll put this event on, and then obviously it's going to be followed by the homecoming game. So we're excited about it. I know James is excited about everything, so he's very excited about it as well, and it's going to be a big event. And the other things that I'm kind of doing as well, working with Dr. Foltz in retainment with our staff, and we're going to be looking at, you know, how we find employees, how we keep them, how we align them to the portrait of a graduate, and how we grow them. And that's going to be something that we'll be concentrating on as well as from my department as well. And I'll be working with Dr. Foltz on that. So that'll be part of some of the things that we do. I'll keep you guys up to date on all the other events that might be happening that I think are going to be really important. And that week is going to be a long week for the high school with the town hall on Thursday, parade game Friday, and of course the homecoming dance, which I won't have to go to this year and first time in 21 years. But I may make an appearance, you never know. So that's all I have. Any questions you guys have on anything that's coming up?
I have two questions.
Yes.
Where will this bell be permanently located?
It's back by the, what's it about, shot put pit, the old shot put pit?
If you look at the scoreboard, it's to the right. There's a little, the fence takes a little dip in right there. There's a pad at Mark Hall Concrete Company with the help of the architects poured the pad. So the beauty of it right there is it'll be visible from everybody in that stadium. It'll be a light on it. Be a pretty nice view of it.
There'll be a Glen Estee emblem on one side, Amelia pointing to the directions of each of the school, and then a WC on the other side.
So it's the south end of the home stands.
Sure.
I'm looking at Chuck.
Jason said
Jason's
yes.
going yes, and Chuck's looking at me like,
But I'm directly challenged.
Okay.
Perfect answer. I was going to say
Perfect.
yes.
Yeah. It's,
Yes.
Yes, answer is yes.
Okay.
The other question is, I've been asked by a couple alumni association, reunion committees, if you would be interested in having their database of like
Yes.
their class of email addresses?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, just tell them to send it to me and we'll
I
put
have
that
one to
in.
give you too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've reached out on Facebook. I know the one person has 750 followers, the other one has 850 from each school. Christy Conrad, Matt Curlis has a pretty big database as well, so we combine all those. We'll start to bring them in.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So what I have for you tonight is a supplement, I guess, or a complement to the strategic plan update that I gave last month. This is a new tool that we want to use, and I'm calling it the roadmap report. And if you think back to our state of the schools, where we're showing we're kind of on this road, there's some things we know that are ahead, some unknowns. Regardless, we're in this trip together, and we need to plan our journey together and make sure that we're keeping our students at the center of that journey. So this roadmap report will come out probably by next week, that share with everyone as we're continuing to advertise for September 22nd. But I want to hit the highlights with you guys tonight, because one of the things that I think is unique and challenging about this is we're asking for a lot of engagement. You know, Randy is obviously focusing on volunteers, alumni. As we approach this, we're looking at parents, community, students, staff, and this is a long term to engage. We're listening and learning for a long time as we prepare for our future. So this isn't a one and done meeting where you kind of check a box. We're really digging in. So what we started in this spring, we're going to continue this fall. And people say, well, you know, James was telling me, somebody came up to me and said, so what's her end game? Like, what is she really after? She just wants our money, kind of thing. And it's like, no, we truly, like, the world is changing. The landscape of education of our world is changing at such a rapid pace that we can't just sit here and say, well, we're going to do schools, we've always done it, and just put a computer in front of everybody. We have to continue to revamp, reimagine, and we don't want to do that alone. And so that's really what this is about. It's about making sure that everyone is kind of struggling and hearing the same challenges. We all have the same data in our hands, and that we're making the very best decisions that we can going forward. So on our website, there are two different ways you can get to the town hall information. You can click the Our Community button, which leads to a town hall section, or as everyone knows, you can go to the Wolfpack Hub and hit the West Clermont Town Hall link. In that link, it has everything that we've collected up until this point. This document that I'm sharing today, though, is just the newest feature, and that'll be coming soon. In it, everything you're going to see today on this screen is a draft, because we've still got some tweaks to make. But the point is that this will be interactive. We'll have some hard copies of it, but most importantly, it'll be online in an interactive document that will grow over time with the focus of our long-range destination number one. So we'll share, you know, where we've been, where the district board, what your aspirations are for the future, where we're going, and we'll keep it very organized. And the key thing that I want to point out is the appendix here. We're going to link every single document, all the data. So as this process unfolds, we collect more and more information. People will be able to just go to this document to follow the trail. So sometimes people are good with summary information. Sometimes people want to dig into the data themselves. This document will allow that to happen. In this welcome, it's mainly just for you to see where we've been, where we're going. And as I said, this report is designed to be multifaceted. Our engagement process isn't just about town halls. It's about the electronic engagement. It's about focus groups. It's about chances to really take time to listen and learn together. It's about having fun together, creating empathy, and really curating our community assets. There are so many things that we learned at those tables that could really improve and enhance our school, and it just takes us, dedicating some time to it. In this document, we include our aspirational vision that you guys have created so that we keep that front and center, and we aligned our North Star, the portrait of a graduate, with it, saying that we are focused on a student-centered approach. And the 5 areas that we'll continue to focus this year are safety and well-being, the educational programming, school district design and purpose, facilities, and transportation. And the one thing that we've learned so far in this process is that when we put these 5 topics or these big buckets out there, we didn't learn that there was another big bucket that we were woefully missing, that everybody really did care about these topics and these concerns and these issues. And we didn't seem to be missing any of the big topics. We also found that thinking about school differently is really hard for people, because it's what we've always known. It's what our parents did, what we did, what we've seen our kids to do. But things are changing so fast in our life that if we just sit back and say a factory model with a farmer calendar is going to be good enough for what the students need today, we're going to be left behind. And so we're going to continue to offer opportunities, whether it's superintendent articulation meetings for staff, town halls, the Citizens Advisory Commission, focus groups. We will have multiple avenues for people to have a voice and have a seat at the table. And truly, we'll take our experience from COVID to help advance this cause, because I think we certainly learned a lot. In the data, you'll see that the REACT survey is picking up momentum. I think it's not as strong as I'd like to see it. I'd like to get some more data here in the fall, and hopefully that'll happen. And we'll be able to pick up right up with Town Halls. The first one, as everyone knows, is September 22nd at the high school. It will be very similar in format to the ones that existed in the spring, but there will be new data at the table. We've updated all of our data cards based on new information that really we attained last school year that I think will enhance the conversation and improve our story and give everyone a chance to kind of dream big about the future. And this is just a few pictures so people can see that people really did show up, they really got involved, and there were really engaging conversations. The data here tells us, and again, the detail of this right in this moment doesn't matter, but as people exited, we had huge return rate on people wanting more of this. They really enjoyed the experience. And I think I can't see that number exactly. It's almost, I think 90% of the people said, I would like to be invited back for a focus group. And so we'll be picking up with those in the fall just to dig a little bit deeper. Our key takeaways really just reinforce that the engagement vision that the board has, that they want a community that comes together and develops pride for what's happening in our schools is underway. And we just want to expand it. We found that we have to, it can't be a one-shot wonder. It has to be a digital process as well as face-to-face, has to be engaging, has to be a lot of listening. And so what the key feature that will be changing this year is the fact that we'll have impact teams. And again, this document reviews all those details, but I'll share the highlights for you guys. The impact teams are existing teams that will take all the data information that we've gotten from surveys, from town halls, from whatever venue we've collected them in, and we'll pass them over to a current existing team in the district. So they're going to play a dual purpose this year and study the topic more fully. So for instance, we were talking today, Mr. Overby is going to be running the transportation aspect of this. And so obviously we'll be looking at middle school start time and what that change might do. But we also started talking about, okay, if we did provide transportation at the high school, who really needs it? Who would take advantage of it? So that might require an additional survey or additional ask of the parents and families so that we get some true data. Is this a real problem? Is this a perceived problem? Is it bigger than we thought, smaller than we thought? That's what we'll be digging into. And so these teams will work internally. They'll spend time also with our Teachers Association and our HOPE team in other avenues that we have internally, and share the ideas, test them out, kind of do, I always say, like a smell test, like proof of concept, kind of test them, and then we will begin bringing them to you guys in the winter of 2023. So we'll bring them to your committee. So you can see up here, the School Purpose and Design and Educational Program Committee will come to the Education Committee of this board. The Insurance and Wellness Champions and the Retention Team will move to Climate and Culture. Whole Child will be the Education. Business Advisory will ramp up their finance and advocacy efforts over this time. Safety and Security and the CAC topics will go through the Operations Committee, and Transportation and Facilities will also be on Operations. So kind of the challenge and the good thing about all this is that as we move along, we are going to be doing what we call low-hanging fruit. There might be some things that we learn that is important and people have identified as an issue and we have an answer that we fix immediately. It's lower-hanging fruit. An example of that is we all know safety and security was an elevated topic. We were made available to an opportunity this summer with adding a resource officer through our partnership with UT and a grant that we got. And so we took care of that. That's not something we put off. It was low-hanging fruit that we could attend to and afford and address right now. There will be other things that will be more longer term. Maybe it's something that takes longer planning. It won't be able to start till next year or beyond. It might need a policy change from you guys, or it might need program investments or training. It needs something more, so it can't happen immediately. And then other things might be even further down the road. They might need a stronger investment. It might mean a major change inside of the system that can't happen within the next 12 months. And so we'll be working all along to engage everyone, short-term, mid-term, and long-term planning, and we'll be doing our very best to communicate all this to people as we go, so that people don't think, well, I shared everything I thought, and they're not doing anything. Because we're going to be constantly doing things, but some will be immediate, some will be longer term. So that, I think, is one of our biggest vulnerability, is to keep people engaged and keep letting them know that there is evidence of their feedback being incorporated. And finally, on the road ahead, this just hits the town halls that are coming up. As mentioned, the themes will be the same for the fall that we had in the spring. So the one at West Clermont High School, WT, and Merwin will all be this case for change, bringing our data cards into everyone's awareness. And then starting in December, we'll shift the focus to the student journey, where we ask the question, what is it that our students need for learning in life to achieve those Portrait of a Graduate outcomes? What does that mean we need to change as a system, as a family, and as a community to fully achieve those results for all students? We'll have focus groups. We'll begin doing facility tours and videos about facilities. And so all these things will just continue to evolve as the school year goes on. And this report will help people kind of know what's on tap, and will help over time as the data rolls in, we'll also include that information there. So are there any questions or comments or things that you guys think we need to be keeping in mind as we plan these next steps, or as we think about this very important part here that will involve your all's influence?
I really like the idea of the impact teams and taking this information that we're getting from our community members and whomever else are at the town hall meetings, because we did really get a lot of valuable information, things that, getting somebody else's perspective of it, and then, drilling it down and taking that data and finding it. So hopefully, we will be able to overturn some stones and find some more low-hanging fruit.
Yes. Well, and to give a real example of this, how we lived it out last year, the CAC formed, studied middle school start time, made a recommendation to you guys. So now we have an internal team working with all of that. And so soon they'll be bringing, Chuck and his team will be bringing back to this table, okay, this is what we've learned. Here's the routes that we've looked at. Here's the traffic study. Here's the impact on the district. So we can know, are we going to make a move for next year? Are we going to put this on ice and hold it for a minute because we're still not ready and able to activate? Or are we, are we killing it dead on arrival? So we'll be in a place. And so that's just a perfect example of external ideas coming together, a recommendation made, an internal team working through logistics, and then coming back to you. So we'll just kind of match that same plan for all the topics. Some are a little easier than others though, right, Chuck? So thank you guys. And then just to wrap up, a few updates. I want to say thank you to the child nutrition team. They applied for a Play 60 grant, and that's a partnership with the NFL. And so we were able, a big group of us, as well as students, some coaches, some staff, got to go to the Bengals game on Saturday. And this $20,000 grant that was received because we are the hometown grant recipient of the game, they got 2 mobile meal carts for the high school, 2 POS systems for the high school, that's the point of sale systems that just make everything run smoother, charging stations for the devices at the coffee bar at the high school, 2 tackle football rings for the high school and 2 tackle football rings for the middle school, additional handheld scanners for the grab-and-go breakfast at elementaries. Their whole department will get trained in innovative recipe creation, and flag football kits and smoothie kits. So in addition to all of that, some of our football players and cheerleaders from both the middle school and high school got to go down and be on the field. Mrs. Delaney was able to be there with us, and they were just mesmerized by being able to be that close to football players. They got to stand next to the Bengal cheerleaders, and they ran through them in the tunnel. So it was a great event. Was it this weekend, just Saturday. And we have very exciting news. We have on Channel 12 is going to be interviewing and doing a feature on Patty Emery tomorrow. The interview happens at 10. Is it going to play at 10? We don't know. Okay, so it's going to happen, so stay tuned for when that will be released on Channel 12. Patty Emery, kindergarten teacher extraordinaire. Her story is amazing, and our most senior staff member in all of West Clermont. Those are my updates. Any questions? Thanks.
Mr. Romano, Treasurer's
Okay.
business.
There is no formal presentation this evening on the finances, but a couple comments. First of all, in September, we will have the annual appropriation measure that will be submitted to the board, so that would reflect our budget for the year. That's also the budget that will be reflected in the November 5-year forecast update. Compliments to Mr. Foltz's department in HR, payroll department. Not a lot of people know that all employees kind of flip over during the summer into a new contract year. There's salary notifications that have to go out. So with in excess of 800 employees, that is a pretty big task to have happen during the summer months to do that. Third thing is a compliment to our health insurance committee, which is really made up of the superintendent, myself, and Mr. Foltz, but more importantly, the two bargaining units, Hope and WCEA, have 3 members each on that. As you heard earlier, our insurance rates went up about 8% beginning in January for 2023. In order for us really to have an impact of those rates as we go forward for January of 2024, we really need to look and investigate how to create savings, how to improve the health of our employees, to reduce our claims and do some things like that. At the last meeting, we had Dacre Monroe from Haran attend our insurance committee meeting. Dacre is going to be kind of a monthly guest at that meeting to provide data and information for us to look at, to see different things that we may need to do. It is wide open to the members of that insurance committee to explore different avenues and look at different things. But we're not just waiting till January of 24 for our rates to change again, but really try and take a proactive approach to what we can do to keep our rates low as we move forward. We know that the healthcare marketplace is on an increase, that healthcare costs are going up. So rather than waiting, we're just going to try and hit that head on and do some investigatory things during the next several months to see what we can do. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Romano? All right. Board business, item 11.01, Secretary Pro Tem. Mr. Romano will not be able to join us at our board meeting on September the 12th, so we need to appoint someone to be Secretary Pro Tem for that board meeting. I believe we have a recommendation.
Sure, yes. Assistant Treasurer Carolyn Chiffre. She does have her treasurer's license. She's been a treasurer in the past, and I think more than qualified to fill into that spot. Actually, whenever I'm not available, I don't see that as a repeating pattern, but that would be my recommendation as we go forward.
You've heard the recommendation of the treasurer to have our assistant treasurer be our Secretary Pro Tem. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
Yeah, in the past, we've never voted on this, we've just assigned.
appointed? Okay.
Appointed, yeah.
So we can appoint with that.
You can appoint, the board can appoint.
Okay.
All right.
Going forward.
Okay. Do we need to vote now, or should we, okay.
Don't have to
All
vote.
right.
You can just appoint her.
Okay, well, we'd like to go ahead and appoint.
Okay.
Item number 11.02, appoint a delegate and alternate for the OSBA annual business meeting. In November, we have board members that will be attending the annual business meeting, and we need a representative to be the delegate on behalf of our board, and then we need an alternate in the event that our primary person is not able to attend. I believe Mr. Patton and Mr. Chumley and Mr. Rudy are attending.
Correct.
So Michael is going to be the delegate and Mr. Patton,
Alternate.
the alternate.
Be the alternate.
Second.
Is that
Yes.
everyone good? All right. 11.03, board comments. Mrs.
I have nothing.
Mr. Chumley?
Excited that we had a decent start. Pretty good start. I know my boys they've had a pretty good time so far. And I'm excited for some football, so who day? 2 more weeks.
Mr. Patton?
So I won't be long-winded. Obviously, I wanted to thank the maintenance department today. They did a great job, as they've always done. I've had the pleasure of working with some of them when I worked at the district years ago, and some of them did a great job. All of them did a great job, having to attend to my needs, whether it was moving a camera or some graffiti in the bathroom or something, getting that cleaned up. But one thing that I'm learning being on the board here is that the district as a whole is a well-oiled machine. I think that every one of our departments, whether it's the HR department, the cafeteria staff, obviously the superintendent, the treasurer, everybody could be commended because they all do a great job. I'm definitely seeing that being on the inside looking out. I can see that everybody does an excellent job. So again, whether it's at the elementary or whether middle school, high school, I'm definitely pleased with what I'm seeing from this perspective or from this view. And I just want to make sure I thank everybody for the job that they do and getting up every day and putting their best foot forward. So that's what keeps our district moving in the right direction, is everybody getting up and trying to do the best that they could do every day. And so for that, I appreciate everybody.
I will reiterate what Mr. Patton said. Thank you to our maintenance team. They always, no matter what it is, they give 110% and make it amazing for our students, our community, for everyone involved. The volunteers, I cannot be any more of a huge advocate. I will be running around the community going, give me 5, because I was that parent in kindergarten, when my son was in kindergarten, that said, I work full-time. I'm not going to be able to volunteer. Well, 22 years later, yeah, I did a little bit of everything. So just because you work full-time doesn't mean you have to be in the school holding a book. You can be helping teachers behind the scenes. You can be helping, committees do things. So don't be afraid to get involved, because we really do need it. And those secondary schools, I never thought I would have volunteered as much in the high school or the middle school. That's where I did most of my work. I mean, those kids, they love that engagement of adults more than what the elementary school kids do. It's a different interaction, and when you treat those kids with, as an adult, they really appreciate that, and it makes them put their best foot forward as well. And just thank you to everyone. I mean, it's been a great kickoff to the school year. We're just hearing tons of positive feedback in the community. The parent page and the Facebook has been relatively quiet. Other parents are supporting, it's like, relax, it's only the first week of school, give them time to do this. So kudos to our parents for, cheering each other on and cheering us all on, because we are an amazing, well-oiled machine, and we just keep going forward and being great. All righty. Do we have any need to go back into executive session? Okay, so we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Romano? Roll call?
Mr. Chumley?
Yes.
Mr. Patton?
Yes.
Mrs. Delaney?
Yes.
Mrs. Brinkman?
Yes.
4 yes.
Thank you, and we will see you at our next board meeting on September 12th. Is that right?
Is that when it is, September 12th?
I think it is.